Hello, this is Mercury Rises from Clash of Empire, also called Last Land. And I got some tea for you. This towers totally came out differently than I ever would have expected, and it was more about drama than it was about getting towers. But we ended up getting chosen. I tried to pick an opponent, and they were just too fast for me, and so we got chosen. And I think the biggest player was like 400 million. And I knew that it was just going to be very, very hard for us to get towers in their kingdom. And then when I went over to QIB and the farm, they said, well, you're not going to get towers in this kingdom either. Apparently, QIB had been chosen as well. And the person who was in charge of choosing, which was not Jack, I think overslept. And so they got chosen. And it, I mean, they kind of did it to themselves, and what I'm showing here is just a drop in the bucket of the reports that Jack has in his castle. Because the player that chose them had to have done it with vendetta. They had to know that they might not be able to beat Jack, and he couldn't. So this server was almost a year older than 415 that chose QIB. Well, that basically, shuts us down, because what are we going to do? When we had started our rally, I'd gone in there, we got into the tower, and we were hit by Ozzy, which I thought he was soloing us, and come to find out it was an entire rally. And so, excuse me, and it was an entire rally, and so we basically got just clobbered. And my hospital was completely full. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so not good. Like within 10 minutes of the towers. So I went ahead and did some healing, because, obviously we get prized for that, and I need line shards and stuff, and got enough troops out in order for us to do another rally. But then we had to cancel that rally. And it just seemed like it just wasn't going to go really well for us to end up giving points to everybody. So I told the team, just go ahead and do some solo work and go to get some duels, because, I just don't want to give, because when we tried to do another rally, Ozzy had started a rally right after as well, because he was going to hit us with an entire rally again. And I'm like, well, we ain't doing that. Well, then I went and jumped into a tower for one reason or another. I don't remember what it was. And as soon as I saw him coming, I pulled my men out. I was very fortunate to not get smacked by him. Well, I went home, and they continued to play, and I had a full hospital, only like 40,000 left available in space, and I was just kind of like, I'm done. And Jack said, come get the towers. Well, they had gotten two in 415, and Jack was going to help us get towers in 415, which kind of confused me, because it was never the goal to get a tower. Like, we were just there for prizes and rank and basically kills. And I'm like, okay, so I got excited, completely forgot that my hospital was filled, but because of the big players, I was just putting in a couple troops at a time, thinking, well, we just have to outlast them. That's what you do. And he said, put in a full troop, and nobody else can hit you, and if Ozzy goes for you, just pull him. Well, it was he was shielded, and he's done this before and come out of shield in order to come at me. And so before I could even pull my troops, I got smacked again. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I died. And that's some of the reports I'm going to show you now, is that's out of my castle. Completely died, because I only had 40,000 left in my hospital. So I probably would have done a lot better had my hospital not been maxed out. But it is what it is. And I'm like, Jack, I told you I told you, I just put a couple troops in there. And he's like, well, you didn't tell me your hospital was full. And I'm like, I was doing it for a reason. But I was excited when he said, come get towers. I was like, okay, we're going to get towers. I'm going to get a few more kills. My rank is just not very good. And it was good in Clash and KE. And now it's no longer any good. And I thought, well, if I can get some more points or some more courage mirrors, that would be really good. But that's not what was going on. Because Ozzy kept on trying to go for the tower, and Jack kept on hitting him. And I'm like, kept on going on for a really long time. And Ozzy kept on mentioning something about the captain, and I didn't know what he was talking about. But apparently, after Ozzy chose Jack and the team, or should I say the A team, he just kept on healing, I guess, or kept on training. He had Marshall, and I was given Marshall. in order to just keep on having these fights with Jack. And a lot of times he'd pull his troops, but a lot of times Jack hit him, and Jack kept on beating him. And when you look through Jack's reports, Ozzy has this really bizarre, large amount of troops that just don't make any sense. And many of his players kind of do the same thing, just lots of tiers that I've never seen any kingdom do before. And there was a lot of gold being spent on KC and, dogging each other and calling each other farmer, noob, whatever. And one thing that Jack is not any longer is a noob. He's certainly not. And he's been king 10 times. I mean, and so anyway, and I don't know if Ozzy was just like gaslighting us or what, because then he kept on talking about how Jack should fix his composition. And I'm like, what? That's the most terrible composition I've ever seen, is in Ozzy. Now, I kind of forgot the history that we had with Ozzy. And that's where the tea comes in. Now, in one of our captains, where I was captain with another player, Jack came over and helped. He was not the captain. And in the end, we didn't end up getting a tower because the rank 1, it was just kind of selfish and didn't want to give all the captains a tower, which is what is so customary nowadays for captain, is about every single rank 1 gives a tower to all the captains so that they all get their cards, they go home. That's kind of the way it is, because they're captains too, So, we didn't end up getting a tower there, but it wasn't like, whatever, right? And, but that wasn't the only beef that Jack had with him. Apparently, this was the player that when several months ago, one of my sons that I no longer play with had allowed 2 rallies on my castle and completely zeroed me out. I mean, complete within 4 seconds, my castle was 0. And Jack was in there, but he didn't know the second rally was going because he put his troops in there and he left. So it was a trap, but the boy should have shielded my castle once he saw there was 2 rallies. And he totally completely zeroed my castle. And Ozzy was one of those players. And with the other history with the captain and then them zeroing my castle, Jack's like, he's not getting a tower on our server. Basically. He didn't say that to me, but that's basically what he was doing. And that generous man stayed up all night, all day, all night, whatever the time zone is for him. I know it's late for him, to make sure that Ozzy didn't get a tower in our kingdom. And in the end, one of the cavalry players that I had actually dueled with, I had won the full march, but I'd lost the 10,000. That was kind of weird. He got a tower and we got a tower in 5.